it is June already, and I have not done a May wrap up or an April wrap up for that matter. So let's do May and then let's keep going for April if we want to keep going. And this is not super long, okay? So let's dive in. Life has been a little crazy around here, and so I tried to slow down and I only read 6 books this month. 4 of them were arcs. We're going to start with romance, and let's go for the big bang first, which is Worth Fighting For by Jessie Q. Sutanto. I got it as an arc, absolutely loved it. It is a Mulan retelling, and if you are Asian, if you have dealt with hierarchy in the corporate world or just in general in Asian culture, if you are a woman trying to fight your way through careers, all of that, you're going to absolutely love it. Also has an amazing female bond. Absolutely loved it. Talked about it in a different video, but this was an arc that just came out at the beginning of June. And why do I have it? Because it is a signed copy from my first book event that I went to right there. Bam, had to have it. Totally worth it. And it was one that I read during AAPI month. That's Asian American Pacific Islander month, because I tried to be a little more cognizant of reading Asian themed books during the course of the month. And I had to step back from a lot of different things because I was studying, I was doing all kinds of things. If you are curious, I talked more about it on This Japanese American Life. So I will link the video of why things were crazy if you're curious about the rest of my life. But anyhow, read this, fantastic, highly recommend. And Jessie Q. Sutanto, I had read her Vera Wong book first, and then I went, oh my gosh, this is fabulous. And then kept reading more and more and more. And this was her newest one, part of the Disney Dream to Be series where they take Disney princesses and do more contemporary retelling of those. The next one I read was Not Safe for Work by Nisha Tooley. It was my first by her. I know she has some fantasy series that are really popular too, but this was an arc that I received. It wasn't my favorite necessarily. It is a corporate romance, a forbidden romance kind of thing because they are in the same space, same work environment, right? Opposites, kind of enemies to lovers, all of that. It was cute. Nothing really truly stood out to me. And there were some things with assumptions, miscommunication. I think I'm realizing this whole like miscommunication thing is kind of rubs me not the right way all the time when it's like an excessive amount of miscommunication or females just assuming things about the male. I know that happens in real life. Anyway, don't get me started. But that is why I didn't rate it super, super high, but I did enjoy it and it gets a little spicy. So this book is Cover Story by Vari McFarlane. And that the Mhairi, she spells it out. It's Varley. And so I know it sounds different than what we in America might pronounce, but there you have it. And I read her book just last night before. That was the first book I read by her and really, really enjoyed it and went, oh my gosh, this is the first time I've read one of her books. I want to read more. So there's a lot of my TBR, but when I got this as an arc from NetGalley, I went, ooh, I definitely want to read that. It's kind of like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith kind of thing where they have to pretend they are a couple to go undercover and do this journalism story together. And I was captivated by the story. I read it in 2 days, but it just wasn't my favorite. It was addressing toxic males in society and taking down of that. So kind of like a Me Too thing, which I did find really interesting. And I appreciated this message of bravery and that every person's story and experience matters. I also enjoyed that there were these supporting characters that had really good character development. And so you really enjoyed the parts that they played in the story. I really like the straight shooting care that Sean and Shiloh have. I didn't love cheating becoming a normalized thing. Not saying it was in the book necessarily, but there was quite a lot of it given the plot line because it's Me Too thing, right? So I don't know. That was kind of a lot. And then I didn't love so much miscommunication aspect, especially toward the end. I'm not going to spoil it, but there's just a lot of miscommunication. And I already mentioned this earlier that I don't like when there is so much that just keeps adding up and it's all about miscommunication. So just say what you want to say is easier said than done. It was something that I had to finish, but I don't know. It just fell short for me in the end. Then we have Better Luck Next Time, which is an Audible original, and I love Cara Bastone. If you have not seen my interview with her, go check it out because it's super fun. Get to know her, get to know the author behind it, and the fabulous people that they are. And Cara is one of those people, so go check it out here. But this one is graphic audio. And we talked about this in our interview, but she has this script that she develops essentially like a movie or a film or something, right? But it's all for the audio. And the wonderful Mae Whitman, as seen on Parenthood, which was one of my favorite shows where I cried every single time I saw an episode, but she voices it and really makes it come to life. The male main character is narrated by Colin Waddell, who does a fabulous job as well, also an actor. And so these are just fun, make it come alive. You know, I love audiobooks. So this was fantastic. If you know graphic audio for some of the popular books, it's like that, but that's all there is. It's just on audiobook, so you can't read it. It's just for your ears. Fantastic, super cute. It's like a time warp kind of thing where these two characters in one life have been married and are getting a divorce, whereas in the other life, they never got together. And so they end up switching lives because of a freak environment phenomenon. And so they have to figure out how to live and get back to where they are. But in the process, obviously, they kind of learn to appreciate one another. And why were we married? What if we had done that one kiss at that point in time when she wanted to? What if something had happened at that time? All of those things, right? It's kind of like sliding doors-esque, but with a time warp and actually living parallel and ending up in the other realm, if that makes sense. But it's really cute, really well done, and absolutely adored it. So The Good Daughter by Kumi Taguchi was an arc or an audiobook that I received through Libro.fm. If you don't know what Libro.fm is as a platform for audiobooks, head here. I talk about it and I love it. I read this during a PI month because she is half Japanese, half Australian, and it was a fascinating read about being Hapa and not living with your father because they were separated, her parents. But her mom actually really liked Japanese things and Japanese cooking. And so she still had that part of her. But this is after she lost her father, getting in touch with her Japanese roots. But it was also a memoir about her life in television as a television personality and covering these really historic kind of events and speaking with people that had lives changed through trauma and all of this. And so it is a fascinating read on what you go through as a journalist and what you go through as a female journalist and as a minority and how she looked different from people that she went to school with and tried to hide her Asianness for a long time until she was able to finally embrace it and come to terms and come to appreciate her Japaneseness. And as I parent Hapa children myself, it was a lot of things for me to think about and to be appreciative of and remind myself that their experience is very different from mine and how can I foster, how can I encourage, how can I be there to talk through some of these identity things that might come up. And a fabulous read for AAPI month all around. I will also say that when I started listening to it at first, I don't think I realized she was Australian. And so she reads it and she has an Australian accent and her name is very Japanese, right? It's Kumi Taguchi. And so I just was not expecting it, but I love the Australian accent, so it was fantastic. The last book that I read for May was a fun kids mid-range book. My child read it in school and came back with like a book report type of thing. And so we read it. The book is called When You Reach Me by Rebecca Stead, and there are some like twists and turns kind of things. It's almost like a mystery of why are these things happening and who are these people. And anyway, it was fun, and we went, oh, maybe we should have a family book to discuss. So the three older ones in our family read it. My younger one did not read it. But I will say the book discussion wasn't super discussive. There were a lot of one-word answers or short phrases. When I asked, what did you like about it? There wasn't very much discussion per se. So it was fun to read the same book as a family together. But the discussion part, maybe as one gets older or others get more passionate about their reading, then maybe we can discuss more. But clearly, I love talking about books, and I'm going to try to get that to come out a little bit more. But I highly recommend reading stuff with your kids and trying to relate, trying to understand some of the things that they really enjoy. I'll just leave it at that. And let's just talk quickly about April, where I was able to read 9 books this month. And I'm just going to go in order. First off, Great Big Beautiful Life. I have talked about it by Emily Henry. Love, love, loved it. It is different from her other books that she has. And it is part mystery also, and part different intergenerational kind of stories. And I loved it. I loved it. 5-starred it. I read an arc by Kennedy Ryan called Can't Get Enough, and I appreciated this because it gave me a lot of perspective on Black lives and kind of the different life that people live. And of course, there was a billionaire romance kind of thing too, so that's a whole different life as well. But there's also the female main character is a woman boss lady that is badass and is a force to be reckoned with. I loved that, and the different decisions that she makes. And there were some things where I kind of went, ooh, that's rough. Like, is that really a good decision? And would you have really made that decision? But anyway, Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. I enjoyed it. My first book by her, and it won't be the last. I read Fearless, which is the last part of the trilogy by Lauren Roberts, and I loved the other two. This one, I just did not love the ending. I felt like one of the characters got gypped and didn't get the story that he deserved. Um, I don't want to spoil it. Actually, I probably already talked about it in this video, so go here if you want to talk about it more on what I loved, what I didn't love, but I had to give it 3 stars, and I wish it had ended differently personally. I don't know if everybody else feels that way. Actually, I know a lot of people that 5-starred it and do not feel the same way as me, so that's okay. We all do things differently. I also read Sleeper by Georgia C. Lee. That was an arc that I received, and this is what some of more of her darker romantasy. It gets spicy, so beware. But she has these sort of um, fairy tale esque dark romance weave-ins. So Sleeper is based on Sleeping Beauty, and it's really a very loose part of that, but it is a dark realm. There's magic, there's fantasy, there's gods, there's demons, there's angels, there's humans, there's all kinds of stuff, right? But I really enjoyed it because it got to a pretty deep part of humans and what we are willing to do, what is good, what is bad, what do people recognize as good. There's all kinds of deep stuff in there. It does get quite spicy, so if you're not okay with spice, then do not go there. Several of these Can't Get Enough get spicy as well. Fearless is YA, so it doesn't get spicy, but this one gets spicy. I also read Passion Project by London Sperry. I think I've just read a lot of coming out of grief and finding yourself and being able to live your life again and having these almost midlife crises of what is my life, what is my identity, and discovering yourself kind of books. And this is another one of those. I'm not sure why I'm gearing towards that. Maybe I'm in a midlife crisis. I don't know. It was well done. It was cute. And I loved the male main character who is steady. He is there, shows he cares in the small, everyday ways, which I think I really love seeing in romance stories. It's not in the big extravagant, right? But in the small, everyday, I notice you, I care for you kind of ways. Nora Goes Off Script by Annabelle Monaghan was another one that I read. It's a romance. It is a single mother who writes scripts, just an everyday person, but ends up getting this big deal where a celebrity, a big name celebrity, comes as part of that film so that they're using her space, her little writing cottage, because it is beautiful. And so he ends up being there, and obviously there is a romance, and the way that he is able to interact with the kids and become part of their life was really cute. And it's kind of this everyday romance thing again of she is able to teach him how to do these everyday things like grocery shop. But obviously people recognize him and things. So it's just a very different celebrity life that you kind of peek into as well. And it's just a really heartwarming but fun, makes you giggle, makes you smile. Beautiful. You see these characters that are flawed, but very, very believable. It's summertime, right? It's a great summer read. I wanted to read some Japanese stuff too. So Days at the Morisaki Bookshop, which I thought might be kind of interesting. It is about a girl that is lost in life. And so she ends up staying with a family member at this bookshop. And as she works at this bookshop to help out, meets different people, learns different stories, all of that, she has a different turn in her life, and people speak into her life. It was just okay. I was hoping for more. I was hoping for deeper. I was hoping for, I don't know, but it just fell short. It just didn't feel too deep, and I didn't really relate to the characters too much, especially the main character. Um, so it was just okay. Another one, as I'm going through Japanese stuff, is Awakening Your Ikigai. And I have talked about Ikigai in this video and the importance of it. It really means your reason for being, your reason for living. And I define it because a lot of people define it in different ways. And so this was another way for me to research that a little bit or understand that a little bit to see if what I understood myself really is what people are talking about. And can I deepen that thought process for myself and how to share with people, right? What it means to think through your ikigai or your reason for living. So it was an interesting read. I didn't absolutely love it in the sense that did I learn too many new things? Not really. I didn't disagree with anything. So yeah. And the last one was Frederick Bachman's Anxious People. I have read one other book by Frederick Bachman and I really loved it. And this one, as I was reading, there was a lot of hype behind it, so I might have been expecting too much. It is a story about a holdup at gunpoint at a real estate showing. So it's a very interesting premise of where it begins, but you start to see all the backstories of all these people that are involved, the people that were at the showing, the person that was the hold upper, as well as the police people that come, and you start to see things unravel and see personalities and the reality of human beings. And you also see beautiful relationships develop, and you also see the anxiety that every single person holds, or the flaws or the imperfections or the things that are holding them back. And so it is a fascinating story. And I think the more I thought about it, the more I think I enjoyed it and the depth I saw. But as I was reading it, I went, this is kind of strange. This is not what I was expecting. I was trying to guess what would happen, and I was totally off on so many different ways. I also don't read that many mysteries, so maybe I need to be more of a sleuth in mystery books. And as I do so, maybe I'll be able to predict things more. So there were a lot of twists and turns and fun ways to see that humans are flawed, but they can also be really beautiful. So I appreciated that. So those are my Aprils. April, even this, I tried to cut it back because I was trying to do a lot of things. I have a summit coming up. I was trying to study for my CIA test. I was trying to do a lot of different things. And so I am trying to cut it back, friend. But I absolutely love chatting. So if you read any of these books and you loved them too, let me know because, like I said, not everybody is able to talk about books that I love with me. And so I would love these forums to talk about books with all of you. If you have books that you loved over the course of April, May, and June, it's going to be fantastic, friends. I'm not going to keep talking because this is already really long, but June, there are going to be fantastic books coming, and I have TBRs. I have time set aside. It's going to be great, guys. See you in the next video.